Matty Struski, you guys.
So I'm sitting in the production office on set, and over the radio, I hear the assistant director speaking, and he says, "All right, everybody remember, the chicken goes on action, and if he doesn't peck the right way this time, we're going to have to bring in the backup chicken, so let's be ready to do that." And at that moment, I realized that my career is in a bit of a rut. And I had moved out to Los Angeles with the hopes of making it big in the film industry, and I had always pictured myself working on important films or cutting edge television, and I didn't actually really have it that bad. I had at this time I've been out in LA for about 10 years, and I was working as a freelance production manager, and I did mostly big budget commercials, and I worked with reliable production companies and good crews, and it was a good job. But during this job, I couldn't help but think about how many conversations I had about chickens and how many meetings we had already had. And, it was, this chicken is too dirty, or this chicken is too chickeny, and this chicken looks too weird when it pecks at things, and can we get more options of chickens? And the most telling part of it for me was that I actually knew exactly who to call to get all the answers for these chickens. I had a really good chicken guy. And so I guess I felt like I was really good at my job, but I was yearning for something a little bit more exciting. And so a few weeks later, when I got a call from a producer of a reality TV show to go and chase tornadoes, I didn't even hesitate. I just said yes. And, I had always wanted to see a tornado up close, and that's how I found myself stepping off a really small airplane in a really small airport in Nebraska. And, when I got there, I was actually replacing another PM who had to leave for some reason that they wouldn't tell me. And this particular show, it featured 4 chase vehicles that were on camera chasing tornadoes. But in reality, when you counted up all of the support vehicles and the crew vehicles, we had over 20 vehicles that would be on a tornado chase. And I had never done this before, so I wanted to know what it felt like to move that many vehicles from place to place in a quick manner. So I asked them if we could do like a tornado drill the next day. So they agreed, and we did this drill. And to me, it felt really chaotic. And I understand that chasing tornadoes is inherently chaotic, but I felt like there were some fairly simple things, some fairly simple ideas that I had that if we implemented them, it could really go a long way in making sure nobody got hurt and nobody got left behind on a chase. So the next day, I called together all the department heads, and we went into the hotel conference room, and we spent the whole day coming up with a plan. And at the end of it, we hashed out what I thought was a really good plan to, safely and efficiently and effectively chase tornadoes. And at the end of the meeting, we did some pretty basic stuff. We assigned all the vehicles numbers, and we grouped them into different groups. So when we were on a chase, we could direct them more easily over the radio. And we designated certain people to be spotters, and they would count vehicles and make sure that no crew or vehicles were left behind when we left the location. And it was just little stuff like that, trying to make sure we were all looking out for each other. And at the end of the meeting, I felt really good about how it had all gone. I didn't know any of these people, and we ended up working together really well. And they were really open to my suggestions and ideas. And I had a good feeling, and I felt like when we started chasing, I had the feeling that everything was going to go really well. And so the next day, it's on. The chase is on. There's some really promising-looking storm cells down in Kansas. So we drive the better part of the day from Nebraska to Kansas, and this whole caravan of cars, we end up pulling off into this really narrow dirt road in the middle of this field, and there's these really ominous-looking storm clouds just really close to us, just to the east of us. And our caravan spread out for the better part of a half mile. My vehicle's way at the end of it, and the picture vehicles are way up at the front of it. And we're getting this really dramatic shot of them in front of this cloud. And after a few minutes, I hop out of my car and I jump into the AD's vehicle, and we drive down to the picture cars, because we're going to figure out what the next step in this plan is. And as we get down there, the lead chaser comes out and he says, "Okay, our radar says that there's a tornado in that storm cluster, and it's heading this way, but it's going to be wrapped in rain, so it's not going to be good footage for the TV. And we're actually in a really bad space here, so we should leave." And now, so this is, and we decide we're going to leave, and we're going to regroup in the center of town. And this is exactly what we had been planning for the day before, so I feel pretty good. And before I can do anything, the AD, instead of releasing cars by their groups in an orderly fashion, just jumps on the walkie and he says, all right, everybody, we are in a very dangerous position. We do not want to be here. Everybody needs to get out of here. We will meet up in the center of town. And he jumps in his car without me and just takes off. And as soon as he does that, the whole plan just goes to shit. Like, nobody's acting as a spotter. The picture vehicles take off also without me. And I look down the line and I can see all the cars turning around and heading in the other direction. And the driver of my vehicle must have thought that I was still with the AD because I see him turn around and drive off. And as he's doing that, I realize that I've left my walkie-talkie in that car, so I can't even call anybody. And as they're leaving, the last car is driving away. I just sort of weakly am like, wait. But it's too late. I'm standing in this field in Kansas, and it's raining. And all I know is there's a tornado to my east, so I just start hauling ass down this road to the west. And I'm hoping that somebody's going to realize that they forgot me and come back and get me, but it's obvious that they're not. And and as I'm running, the rain's picking up and the wind's picking up, and I would be terrified if I wasn't so angry at everybody who's just left me there. And I'm like anger jumping in puddles and like punching at raindrops and like, we had a fucking plan. Like, what the fuck is going on right now? And I look like a lunatic. And all of a sudden, this old pickup truck drives up behind me, and this salty old farmer sticks his head out the window and he says, son, this is not the time to be out for a jog. You better get in this truck. And so I jump in there, and he graciously drives me to the center of town where I meet up with the crew. And I'm just so mad, I can't even talk to anybody. And I'm like, you know what, screw these people. And I book a flight out, and I leave for LA the next morning. And then I'm back in LA a couple of weeks later, and I'm on this job, and they need baby pigs for this commercial. And we're in a meeting because some people didn't realize that baby pigs were so big, and others didn't realize that they had hair, and some of them didn't look as cute. And they're like, can we get more options of baby pigs? And in that moment, I'm just so happy to be back in LA and be working with people I know and trust, and be in a dry, safe environment, and be working through a problem that I know isn't going to kill me no matter how bad how south it goes. And I just sort of smile and I say, yeah, don't worry about it. I got a great pig guy. I'll give him a call.